Do you believe that God answers prayers? Do you believe that God answers your prayers? I think many times most of us believe that prayer is vitally important, but we sometimes doubt the effectiveness of our own prayers. The reality is that God listens to the prayers of His children, all His children, even though sometimes we doubt it. There's this really neat story in Acts chapter 12 that illustrates this. King Herod had begun to actively persecute the early church leaders. He had James, the brother of John, put to death, and when he saw how much it pleased the Jewish leaders, he decided to have Peter arrested. But then verse 5 tells us that while Peter was in prison, the church was earnestly praying to God for him. The night before Peter was to be tried, he was sleeping, chained between two guards. We're told that an angel showed up and woke Peter, and his chains just fell off. Then the angel told Peter to follow him, and they walked right out of the prison. Guards sleeping at every gate just swinging open as they approached it. Talk about an answer to the church's prayer. That's an incredible story, and I wish it had ended right there. But it doesn't. Peter immediately goes to the house where he knows the followers of Christ are praying for him. He knocked at the entrance, and a servant girl came to the door. She recognized Peter's voice and, as the NIV puts it, was so overjoyed that she ran back without opening it and exclaimed, "Peter's at the door!" How exciting it must have been to be involved in a prayer meeting where you're asking God for a miracle and then seeing that miracle take place. But now here's the sad part. No one believed her. No one believed Peter was at the door. Peter couldn't possibly be at the door. He's in prison. They knew he was in prison. That's why they were there praying. Think about how absurd it would be to say to the servant girl, "Peter can't be at the door because we're praying for Peter to be released." Actually, the text says that they told her that she was out of her mind. But because she was insistent, and because Peter was persistent with his knocking, they finally went to the door. Verse 16 says, when they opened the door and saw him, they were astonished. Again, that's sad. But aren't we all like that sometimes? When God answers a simple prayer, I'm tempted to think it was a coincidence. When He shows up in a big way, I'm astonished because I didn't actually expect it. I can almost hear Jesus saying, "Oh, you of little faith." Start paying attention to the little ways that God answers your prayers. It will grow your faith so that when He steps in a big way, you can rejoice, but you won't be astonished.